I think we'll sort of get going and people can sort of jump in as and when they are there. But a few housekeeping rules for everyone online. Please, if you have any questions or anything throughout, please pop them in the chat box and I will periodically keep checking it and trying to answer throughout. But it's more likely that we're going to be able to answer questions at the end of the session. And we have been inundated with loads of your guys' emails, so thank you so much. But we will try and sort of cover them as much as we can through the content, and then we can always get to them at the end. So hopefully you guys are a little zoomed up already, but I'm saying a hello to everyone on the chat so you can sort of see the notification come up. So without further ado, we are gonna get going. And thank you so much for joining us here tonight on your Wednesday night. I know you're probably not going anywhere too far, but on this webinar on how to nourish your skin with myself and Tijan. So we'll do a little intro. Tijan, you go up first.
Hi, everybody. So I am a fashion and lifestyle influencer, but I actually started mainly talking about beauty. I still do have a YouTube channel, but I used to make a lot of beauty videos on YouTube. I am really passionate about skincare. Actually, when I was younger, I think skincare was the one beauty thing that I really wanted to invest money in. And now at this age as well, I just think it's really important. I've worked with a whole bunch of brands in the beauty and fashion industry.
Great. And my name is Clarissa Lenherr, for those of you who don't know me. I'm a registered nutritionist. I did have my own sort of skincare issues. I know Tijan has always said, oh, your skin was nothing, but I always felt growing up as a bit of a teenager that I had really bad acne. And it's something that I've been lucky enough to sort of not suffer with as an adult, but definitely have been through the journey. So it's from a dietary perspective, it's something that is quite important to me as well. And Tijan and I both know each other. We are actually, well, I think Tijan has a few older friends than me, but we are one of our oldest friends. So we've known each other since we were sort of 10 or 11. And have been very...
Hold on, Clarissa, there's just been something that comes up on the chat saying that you've disabled the screen. Is that...
No, I don't think that I have, but for anyone who says that we've disabled the screen, if you can everyone else let me know you can see it. Marion, you might actually have to slide across or change the setting if you're on your phone. But hopefully you guys can see the screen because I am still sharing my screen.
Okay, anyway, sorry I interrupted you, but yeah,
right.
Old friends.
No, old friends. So we're first up going to talk about skin health and sort of common antagonists that can really trigger outbreaks or sort of changes, things like that. So, Tijan, do you want to start us off with your sort of hormonal journey and how you found that hormones have really impacted your personal skin health?
Yeah, absolutely. I find hormones to be, and actually it's something I've only realized a few years ago, probably the biggest contributing factor to my skin, and especially my journey with acne. I had troublesome skin as a teenager, but actually as teens, I'd say, no offense, Clarissa, that yours is probably worse than mine as teens. But then for me, my early 20s was just horrendous. So when I was a teenager, yeah, it was okay, not too bad. When I was in my late teens, I decided to go on birth control for mainly my skin. I really wanted to find a pill that would help my skin, and I tried a few of the really well-known ones that are meant to sort the skin out. Sorry, that's my baby up there. Sorry.
It's totally normal part of working from home.
And yeah, so I tried a few pills and they absolutely cleared up my skin. I mean, I probably had a few years of just not even thinking about skin troubles, but I had a few negative effects from being on birth control, a lot of nausea, a lot of migraines. So I came off completely. And it was about 7 months after coming off completely that I just noticed my skin just become horrendous, and I actually made a lot of mistakes, and I'm going to talk about those later for how I handled it. But yeah, I think that coming off the pill literally just made my skin go crazy. And then fast forward to pregnancy. I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about pregnancy now or later, but pregnancy was the biggest transformation in my skin. I think those who know me, you, my friends, I mean, my skin before I was pregnant was not great. I mean, I wouldn't call it perfect now, but I'd say it's a lot better. And they do say that when you're having different sexes, so like, you know, a boy is supposed to clear up your skin and a girl is meant to make you break out. And I obviously had a little boy, and I found that being pregnant with him, my skin was just perfect. I barely had a spot throughout the whole pregnancy. And actually when I was breastfeeding as well, it continued, and I was so scared it was going to get bad again after I finished breastfeeding. And I'd say it definitely worsened a tiny bit, but it nowhere near went back to what it was before. So I really think the hormonal adjustment with the pregnancy has kind of shifted my skin for good, you know, hopefully for the better. And I think also the products that I'm using and how I'm treating myself definitely changed too. But yeah.
And I think, so suppose your diet also changed over time as well. So as you got older, you sort of started
completely,
diet,
yeah,
which we'll talk about.
Completely. Like, I think it does all come together, and I think that everything collided around the time of being pregnant for sure. But I definitely just noticed like those cystic hormonal spots. So there's just like the spots that you'd get around your cheeks or your chin, like, you know, the ones where you're like trying to sleep at night and all of a sudden you just feel really sore, and they usually take quite a while to come up, and they're just the worst kinds of spots. And those were the ones that I just stopped getting. So I still had the other breakouts that you get from other things, but yeah, those ones, that's just hormonal acne.
I think also there's, for different people, it kind of changes according to if you're a woman with your cycle in particular, because when we have these sebaceous glands that secrete the sebum, and what can actually happen is they have receptors to hormones, these glands, and when we have changes in estrogen or androgens, which are other sex hormones, they actually produce more sebum and become more sort of oily, and therefore can cause more breakouts either just before your period or after your period or your menstrual cycle, for women anyway. So there's definitely a link. And then obviously when you get pregnant, the estrogen and androgen balance really change. So look, super interesting. I think hormones is unique for everyone, but another thing you and I are both very passionate about is gut health. So before we sort of ask Tijan on her sort of background, and just a little note on gut health. You know, our digestive systems are the epicenter of our health and govern everything from our mood, our absorption of nutrients, but in particular, and I think a lot of people don't tend to think about this, is the health of our microbiomes, the bacteria that live in our digestive system, actually really supports our skin health as well. So we need to make sure that we're looking after our digestive system, because that is one of the places where inflammation can really be triggered. And inflammation is going to be a running route throughout this webinar today, but it's the idea that having higher levels of inflammation from stress, diet, medicine use, all the rest of it, can really trigger outbreaks and rashes and all the rest of it for a lot of people. So Tijan, do you want to sort of touch on your digestive health? Oh, there you go. Don't know why you muted yourself. You there?
Sorry, yeah. I muted myself because Atlas was making some noise. So you and I, again, have this in common. Your late teens, my late teens, it's super common in women to develop some form of like stomach issue. So I'm sure you won't mind me saying, but we both suffer from IBS. Yours has probably been more severe throughout the years, but mine really started around I was 19, and it's just a roller coaster. Those first 2 years, I just didn't know, or I did know what was triggering, but I didn't want to believe it. I think making those changes, especially back then, you know, this is 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, there were not the alternatives that there are today, and cutting the things out of your diet was such a huge deal. So I'd continue to like certain drinks would trigger a stomach ache, foods, and continue to eat them. And that was also around the time that my skin was really flaring up as well. And I just think, you know, I've always known since then, really, there's such a strong link between when my stomach is upset, it will also come out in a breakout too.
Yeah, and I think also for some of you who might have heard of the idea of leaky gut or intestinal permeability, it's when we have these sort of junctions in the digestive system that become slightly weakened. And when they become weakened through, you know, medication use, high sugar diets, things like that, even stress, they allow foreign particles to enter into the bloodstream and trigger inflammation, which is where a lot of this sort of stuff is going to come up, whether it's aging, whether it's acne, dry skin, etc. So super interesting link, which kind of leads quite nicely onto stress. And I know, Tijan, that you don't find stress necessarily disrupts your skin or triggers you so much, but for some people, stress can often trigger outbreaks because we have so many nerve endings, particularly in our face, and the nervous system is massively impacted by cortisol, which is one of our stress hormones that's secreted. So often people, again, can find there's a link with that, but also when we're stressed, we tend to reach for highly palatable comfort foods that tend to be higher in sugar, higher in fats, poor fats normally, refined carbohydrates, all these kind of foods that can prompt inflammation and also therefore trigger excess sebum production in the skin. So there's also a link, and it's very important to manage stress, which we don't have time to go into today on how to manage your stress. But yeah, a lot about stress management is really key. And from a dietary perspective, Tij, do you want to sort of mention the key things that you've included? Obviously, we're going to touch on diet in a bit, but just sort of top level, what you have found. Oh, audio is going a bit funny.
There we go. All right. Stress. We're talking about stress.
No, about yeah. So what are the key top things that you have found in your diet worked for you, and then we're going to delve into diet.
So for me, I cut out dairy probably in 2012 for good. I would probably still have it within like chocolate up until maybe like 2015, 2016. That took a while for it to go like, you know, totally. That was a big one for me. That upset my stomach and that would cause quite bad breakouts. Another one which is quite interesting is gluten. Now gluten is still something that might upset my stomach if I have too much of it, but I don't notice the difference in my skin anymore with gluten, and that has been since being pregnant. I was eating a lot of gluten, I was eating a lot of bread and a lot of pasta in pregnancy, and I didn't notice any problems with that. So I don't know if that's something to do with the hormones rebalancing in my body, and now I can process it better. That's an interesting one. And another one is sugars. So I don't actually eat refined sugars at all. I tend to like bake a lot of my own stuff, or I buy a lot of vegan stuff that usually uses coconut sugars, and I just see such an immediate reaction in my skin. If I were to have like a Malteser Easter egg, for example, because I've got some around the corner that was Atlas's, I'd get a spot straight away. Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that a little bit sort of deeper as well in particular. And the final one I just want to really quickly touch on, because we're going to talk about lots of sort of different dietary related things and products, but we mustn't forget on the importance of hydration. I think it's so often overlooked, but we need to hydrate our skin. When we are just 2% dehydrated, 20% of the output of every system in the body slows. And that includes the digestive system, our cognitive function, but also our skin health too. So you want to be aiming for 1.5, 2 liters of water as sort of a recommended intake. And that's just sort of very, very top level advice. But we're now going to sort of move on now into focusing a little bit more on key nutrients that we need to be obtaining from our diet. So I'll be talking a little bit about that before we then sort of move on to Tijan's top diet tips that she's found have really worked for her, and then products. But I want to run a little poll for those of you online. So bear with me whilst I try to multitask. Okay, so who currently takes a supplement to help with their skin? All right. Okay, nearly there. Nice. Okay, so I'll share the results with you. So 33% of you said yes, 20% said sometimes, 47% said nope. Okay, so hopefully today I'm going to either guide you a little bit on the right kind of supplements, depends on which ones you're sort of taking, but also maybe influence you to sort of focus a little bit more on your diet, because we don't just need to take pills to get in the right things that are the key foundations for our skin. So as a note, sort of, obviously I'm quite limited in time to what I can talk about with diet. So I have picked my top things, but you know, eating a well-balanced diet and getting in adequate protein and good quality fat are some of the foundations for overall health. So just want to start that before delving a bit deeper in some of these nutrients. Now, omega-3, for those of you who don't know, is an essential fatty acid that our body cannot actually make itself. So we have to obtain it from our diet. Now, the reason that omega-3 is so incredibly important for our skin is the fact that we have this phospholipid bilayer that kind of like sits under the skin, and fatty acids really help actually restore this phospholipid bilayer, and actually helps us retain onto water under the skin, which can give you that sort of supple, plump look, which is why a lot of particularly women as we age want to really focus about omega-3s to help keep that sort of elasticity and that bounce in your skin. And then there are certain components of omega-3. So we've got DHA, which is a part of omega-3 that is important for the structural components of our skin. And EPA, which is the second part of omega-3s, is really important for oil production. So creating the right kinds of oils that are excreted from our skin. So to get it in from your diet, you want to eat smash fish. Now, that's not some sort of tropical bizarre fish. SMASH stands for an acronym that is salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring. So your really oily, fishy fish that are full of omega-3. And omega-3 is also anti-inflammatory. And as I mentioned before, you know, inflammation is going to be quite a sort of strong running route in this webinar, but omega-3 can help bring down that inflammation as well as support the skin, and also is fantastic for cognitive health. Now, if you're vegetarian, vegan, plant-based, you can get omega-3 from chia seeds, walnuts, and flax seeds, but you need quite a lot more to get the same amount, because the conversion process of the fats is quite inefficient when it's plant-based. And I do have a recommended supplement for omega-3 if you don't like fishy fish, and you want to sort of focus on getting it in a bit more at the end. And then vitamin C. Now, I think vitamin C is probably getting more hype than it's ever got in its entire sort of existence with everything going on at the moment, and it being a key immune system nutrient. But the interesting thing with vitamin C when it comes to the skin is we need vitamin C to synthesize collagen. Now, I'm sure you guys attending this webinar have heard of or know about collagen, because I think anyone interested in skin sort of kind of gets that collagen is kind of the structural building block of skin, and we need vitamin C to do that. Now, vitamin C we can't make in the body like omega-3, so we cannot make it. We must get it in from our diet or supplements. Now, I would much prefer you've got your vitamin C from sort of just fresh seasonal local fruits and veggies. So the most abundant sources of vitamin C to get in your diet is broccoli, red peppers, kale, cooked tomatoes, and then your citrus fruits, so things like oranges, lemons, and apples. And you could from half a cup or like a whole sort of even actually I think it's 2/3 of a chopped red pepper gets you your recommended daily intake of vitamin C. So that's it. So it's not very much to get in adequate amounts. Then we have vitamin E. Now, vitamin E is an antioxidant, which you guys might have heard of that sort of buzzword before, but essentially antioxidants bring down oxidative stress in the body. Now, oxidative stress can come from pollution, toxins, bad diet, stress. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And our skin is very sensitive to oxidative stress. So we want to reduce internally the oxidative stress that can trigger inflammation and therefore cause changes in our skin consistency, dryness, even breakouts, things like that. So vitamin E is a way of counteracting that. Now, vitamin E is in loads of delicious healthy foods. So avocado is probably one of the most abundant sources of vitamin E. Olive oil as well. Then you've got almonds is another really, really good source of vitamin E, and other seeds like sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds. And the final one I want to mention on getting in through your diet is vitamin A. Now, I don't know if Tijan's going to touch on retinol and using it sort of topically or not. I know that I started using it topically because of Tijan. So she might talk about it. But vitamin A, from a dietary perspective, again, brings down inflammation and encourages the development of the cells that we actually need as part of our structural components of our skin, all round, not just on our face, but all round in our body. Now, there are two forms of vitamin A you can get from your diet. There is retinol, which you can use as a face product, but that's in the sort of most perfect state, and that comes predominantly from meat, in particular sort of organ meats and things like that, which not many people consume. So most people get their vitamin A from beta carotene, which is found in every single orange, fruit or veg. So you know that whole sort of premise, that sort of old mother's tale of eat your carrots so you can see in the dark. The reason is because carrots contain beta carotene, which is a form of vitamin A that is good for not only your skin, but also for your eye and your vision health. So beta carotene does need to be converted in the body, so it's not as efficient. But if you can get in all those oranges, so sweet potatoes, butternut squash, carrots, oranges, orange peppers, all the rest of it, then you're going to be getting in enough internal vitamin A to actually even help support your production in skin. So those are just some of my top key things to try and incorporate regularly into your diet. So we're going to take another poll now. So I'm going to ask you guys, what are the main diet related things that you have added into your, that you find or notice have had an impact on your skin health? So bear with me, I'm going to pull this up. So I've given you a few options. You can tick multiple ones. But yeah, sort of, these are just some of the common antagonists that we sort of see either Tijan sort of through chatting to people or myself in my clinical practice. Lots of people saying chocolate. So I've actually been telling, interestingly, my chocolate consumption recently has gone up, probably linked to stress. And I was telling Tijan a few days ago that actually I've noticed my chocolate and alcohol consumption has ever so slightly increased. And I've been getting breakouts from that, and I never suffer with breakouts anymore. So I do think there's definitely a link. All right, so I'll share the results with you. So 73% of you said sugar, and I would agree with that. Then we got lots of sort of dairy, gluten, quite a lot, 60% said alcohol, me too. Histamine foods, a few of you, which we will touch on perhaps in the Q&A. Hydration, great, I mentioned, and fruit and veg, which is also interesting too, because we need to make sure sometimes when we're low in eating fruit and veg, we can find that our skin doesn't look as supple or as sort of vibrant, and you don't get that inner glow. Okay. So now how to optimize your diet for skin health. So Tijan is going to talk a little bit deeper about the things that she has incorporated from a personal perspective that have really helped us. So she touched on them before, but she's going to go a bit deeper.
Hi. So I actually found that really interesting what you were just talking about, because most of the things you mentioned are in my diet substantially, and I think that definitely plays a part in my skin improving. But I eat all those foods on a regular basis. I have salmon like 3 times a week at least. But yeah, I touched on it before. So I think reducing dairy is a really interesting one. And I think lots of people that suffer with skin problems have done it. And I think a lot of people in general are just kind of reducing their dairy intake now these days. There's been so many documentaries out there. And even my family, my parents, who are the biggest dairy drinkers ever, and they're like lattes in the morning, now use oat milk. So I think it's phenomenal. It's been a huge change, but it's not great for the dairy industry. But that, without doubt, which gave me a huge bloated tummy and angry spots. And I actually don't eat ever really dairy anymore. The only thing I would have maybe as a treat now is halloumi. That's different because it's goat's milk. I can't find that doesn't break me out. But otherwise, even if I have the pizza now, I have a pizza without cheese. I mean, it's super boring. Gluten, like I mentioned, limiting gluten. I think gluten is different to dairy. I think dairy for me, a little bit, and I've got problems. But gluten, I think there's almost got a threshold of how much you can have, whether that's in a sitting or a day. So if you have a small bowl of pasta, you'll probably be okay. If you have a giant bowl of pasta and bread, you're probably going to have a really swollen stomach, and you might see like small red spots. You're breaking out. Usually it's around here as well. And here I really notice where I break out from sugar. So I know if I've had too much sugar, if I'm breaking out here, and then I'll read the back of the ingredients of these like vegan cookies I bought, and they're made with actual sugar, and I'm like, oh my god, and I've been eating these thinking they're like absolutely fine. So I notice it's around here that you really see those sugar breakouts. And I think it's hard to, it's hard for me to like think or conceive of a life where I could be happy and fulfilled without these three things, and find things that I still really liked. But now I just prefer the food so much more. Like if I have like a vegan cookie, I actually prefer it so much more to the real deal. And obviously baking your own things a lot is great. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. So look, there's some interesting stuff there. I mean, I think when it comes to dairy, a lot of people do find that dairy can actually trigger many things in the body, whether it's a lot of the time people find that eczema or psoriasis can be triggered from dairy consumption too, and there is something to say about, you know, in some kinds of milks and stuff, dairy milks or dairy products, hormones can be added, so you do also want to be mindful of hidden hormones that are added in certain food, particularly worldwide. It's different in different countries, but that can often trigger changes a lot of the time for people with dairy and acne breakouts. And gluten, you know, for a lot of people is inflammatory, and that inflammation in the body is really what's going to trigger a lot of redness, a lot of sort of irritability in the skin. And with sugar, when we consume sugar, we secrete a hormone called insulin. Now, insulin, when secreted in the body, actually aggravates our skin if we have too much of it, which is why I think a lot of the time refined sugar triggers people into sort of having those breakouts, particularly as you're sort of mentioning here, because I know that, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've always thought that hormonal breakouts were sort of here, around the chin and sort of jawline, and then diet related for me anyway is always sort of up here, so quite interesting. But I think it's different for different people, but I've always thought that it was around here for hormones. Now, other things to be mindful of when it comes to the diet: moderate alcohol consumption. So lots of you said alcohol, you've noticed, has triggered, you know, breakouts or skin changes. And, you know, alcohol for many reasons can impact our health. It can impact our sleep quality, our absorption of nutrients through our diet. It's also quite high in sugars, and it tends to be paired with sugars too, you know, like tonic water and all the rest of it, which then is only going to exacerbate the situation. So if you do notice that you're...
Also, just to jump in, it can also lower your immunity, which you really don't want at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the NHS suggests 14 units a week, which is a bottle and a half of wine or 14 tequila shots, if that's your thing. But, you know, that's really the upper limit. So, you know, also got to be mindful of its impact on your mood if you drink too much as well. So if you notice it's creeping up, maybe try and nip it in the bud. And you can always swap for the Seedlip or Colino, which are botanical infusions that replace it, or you can try things like kombucha, which are really good for your gut health, that are like a nice fizzy drink as a replacement if that's your thing. Add in those essential fats. So as I mentioned, the omega-3 is going to be very supportive for your skin health, but also lots of people who go on these low-fat diets often end up having changes in their hormones, which impacts their skin, because you need fat to create hormones in the body, and it also impacts their ability to absorb nutrients. So vitamin A, D, E, and K are all fat-soluble vitamins that all contribute to our health and our skin, and they need fat to be absorbed. So these low-fat diets, you know, are not beneficial for a whole host of reasons, but when it comes to skin health, you need fats to even be able to continue to sort of support structure in your face and in your skin, and also to retain water. And then we got flavonoids. So flavonoids are my favorite group of polyphenols, which are plant compounds. And flavonoids are found in loads of foods like green tea, black beans, coffee, dark chocolate, even soybeans, things like that. And what flavonoids have actually been shown to do is they can reduce that inflammation and oxidative stress that I've been talking about quite a lot. So you might have heard of, you know, have a little bit of dark chocolate because it's full of antioxidants and things like that in the news, where they take studies and completely over dramatize them. But having a little bit of these sort of flavonoids, in particular green tea, has been shown to be very, very, very beneficial for the skin. So they do say you have to have quite a lot of green tea to get the benefits for your skin. It's about 4 cups.
That's why I drink matcha.
Yeah, exactly. Matcha's even better. But, you know, do be mindful of caffeine consumption as well. You wouldn't want to go sort of too high too often. And then foods rich in vitamin A, C, which I've spoken about, and zinc and selenium, both are key nutrients we need for the immune system. So that comes first, obviously, but also skin health. And zinc and selenium both contribute to hair, skin, and nail growth. So lots of people tend to want to work on their skin as well as their nails and their hairs, and those are key nutrients. Now, zinc is predominantly found in shellfish and red meat. So if you don't eat those foods very often, you need to make sure you're getting in almonds, pumpkin seeds, pulses, so all your beans, soya beans, and dairy has a little bit of zinc. And when it comes to selenium, you can get your recommended daily intake, which the World Health Organization says are 70 micrograms, from 2 Brazil nuts a day. That's all you need to get in your amount. So I make a fresh pesto with, instead of pine nuts, I use Brazil nuts, and that you can get that in super easy. But otherwise, you know, chomp on 2 raw Brazil nuts a day and you've got your selenium. And if you have a nut allergy or you just don't like Brazil nuts, you can get it from oats, broccoli and chicken too. And the final one I want to touch on before we talk about products, which I'm sure you guys are super excited for. I'm excited to hear what Tijan says too. I want to touch on collagen, because lots and lots of people ask me about collagen for skin health. Now, it is beneficial for the skin. We need collagen is part of our structural process of building skin. But why also collagen is really important through the diet is, remember I mentioned at the beginning that leaky gut, that sort of intestinal permeability. When those junctions become weakened and sort of cause gaps, which is when particles can come through into the blood and cause a lot of inflammation and immune system compromisation. To heal them back up, there are many things that work, but collagen is one of them. So actually drinking bone broth, which is full of collagen, or eating chicken livers can actually help get in that collagen. So a lot of the time, so for clients that I have who are brides to be, I get them drinking bone broth 3 times a week because the collagen not only helps support their digestive system, but it kind of, people say it gives you that pregnancy glow. It just sort of supports the glow in your face. And I've seen it on my clients. I've seen the change. So whether the studies are there or not, anecdotally, it's fantastic. And you can take it as a supplement, which is something I will talk about next. So, Tijan, do you want to talk us through your top product recommendations for skin? And I'm going to unmute you.
Sorry, I keep on having to mute myself because of Atlas. Okay, where do I even start? Product recommendations. Okay, so here are some basic ingredients, basic products that you should, I think, have in your skincare routine if you don't already. So I think hyaluronic acid is a really, really big one. I can't actually bring my hyaluronic acid down. I think anybody with any type of skin can use or should be using a hyaluronic acid morning and evening. What it does is it basically can hold like so much water in it. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm really not a scientist, but basically hyaluronic acid is going to basically hydrate you way more than any thick moisturizing cream or oil ever will. So in order for your other products that you put on top to really sink in, you kind of need a hyaluronic acid to bind it together. So there are quite a few that I really like. I put the Clinique one down. The Clinique Moisture Surge is really lovely, a really good price point, and it just leaves the skin feeling like other products can be received really well.
Just to interrupt very quickly, sorry, for those of you online, I am going to be uploading into the chat at the end of this a document with all the links to all the products, just in case you guys are like, I need to buy it right now. We will be sending you further resources. Sorry, Tijan.
Yeah, perfect. Vichy is also really good. These are all actually in my product recommendations that you'll be getting after, with different price points. I mean, I'm using quite an expensive one by Zelens. I really like that too. I just think a good hyaluronic acid, it doesn't have to cost that much. You can find good cheap ones now. Yeah, you need hyaluronic acid, and it also plumps up. So if you're having any fine lines, it will immediately sort of plump those up. So yeah, whatever your age, whatever your ethnicity, your skin problem, hyaluronic acid. Another really good one for me, a game-changing ingredient that I discovered when I was pregnant as well, is niacinamide. Now, when I was pregnant, I tried to avoid the retinols and salicylic acids. So I was looking for an ingredient that would calm my breakouts and support my skin health. So I discovered niacinamide and zinc by The Ordinary, which is here. I mean, you can't see it, but I love this. It's really cheap. It's like £5. But what you do, don't use it on its own because it will actually dry out your skin. You've got to mix a few pumps with hyaluronic acid. You cannot use it on its own. And what it will do is literally will dry out any spot. It will give your skin such an amazing glow, and it will repair. So at the moment, I'm not using that because I'm using another serum I'm trying at the moment, but the moisturizer that I use has niacinamide in. So as long as I've got niacinamide in my routine, I know my skin will sort itself out. That's a really key one. If you struggle with skin, please get that product, but make sure you mix it with hyaluronic acid, because if you're not using it right, you won't like it.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in there because I remember I got a few breakouts before I was getting married sort of last year, and Tijan told me, this is a true story, Tijan told me to buy that, and unfortunately I didn't use it with hyaluronic acid, but I did mix it in with a moisturizer, and I found it really, even for me with a little bit of an ordinary moisturizer, it cleared my skin. So my sister also really suffers with hormonal sort of, she's a young adult breakout, and I gave the niacin and zinc to her, and it has cleared her skin. So it's a really, really good one, and it's so cheap.
Yeah, absolutely. And zinc obviously is great. It's great to take, and it's also great for the skin. It's really reparative. So another product I like is the Tolerian Sensitive Fluid. I just say everybody get this moisturizer. Everybody should own this moisturizer. It is so wonderful. It's so lightweight, so it won't clog your pores, but there is no other moisturizer that I use that will hydrate my skin like it. So I've got really funny skin. I am acne prone. I am super oily. I'm really dehydrated, but I'm also dry. So my skin actually gets dry, and there's no other moisturizer that can solve all of those issues but that, and we'll link that as well. SPF. So I think an SPF 50 every day is key. I really like this one by Dr. David Jacks, but I do have a few others linked, I think, later. Then do a really beautiful one. Just make sure that you're using a mineral SPF though, because that will ensure that it sits on top of your skin and doesn't sink in. When it sinks in, that is when you're more likely to get breakouts. So when you've got those heavy SPF 50s that cause breakouts, that's super old fashioned. That like new SPF 50s do not and shouldn't clog your skin, because most of them are mineral. So make sure you just find a good mineral SPF 50 that will work for you. I actually know now just by looking at a product if it's going to break me out or not, and it's amazing to feel in control of my skin like that. Obviously, I still do get occasional product breakout, a product that doesn't agree with me, but yeah, just make sure you kind of really get to know your skin and what works for you. Quarterly, this toner, I can't see it too clearly. It's a Quarterly Vino Pure Toner. This, I need to actually buy some more. This is one that I absolutely adore. So this actually has like grapefruit in it. It's actually got essential oils in, which usually would break me out, but in this absolutely doesn't. So if you see that, don't get freaked out. I use this every evening, and actually seeing how low it is just really worried me. I need to place an order right now. It completely refreshes my skin, and I feel like it gently exfoliates. But it's got salicylic acid, which is a huge must-have for any skin concern. Like, make sure you incorporate a bit of salicylic acid into your routine. And this is incredible. It really preps the skin for the next step. So when your skin literally feels toned and lovely, and it really is really refreshing as well, especially after this warmer weather. But I've been using this for months and months and months. It's like my third bottle, 200 ml, and I'm going to rebuy it. And a vitamin C. Now, I don't actually have vitamin C on me, but I would say, as you talked about vitamin C eating, vitamin C on the skin is really important. And I had a few questions. I'm not sure if it was to you or if I had a question. I did a Q&A last week.
People have been asking on here as well. Best vitamin C serum.
In a minute. But vitamin C vitamin C is like your main thing, as well as retinol. Vitamin C will really help with pigmentation and scarring. So I really like a few. The Drunk Elephant one is really good. There's Garden of Wisdom, which is really good and quite affordable. But my absolute favorite, the Garden of Wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if there's one product that you just want to invest in, this is really expensive, so I know it's really not in everybody's price range because it's like over £200. But it literally will change your skin. like, and I don't say that lightheartedly. It's by Mariam Zamani. The brand is called MZ Skin, and it's her vitamin C. And she is a not an esthetician. Sorry, she is a doctor, and she deals with all sorts of skin concerns. And so she created this line, and that vitamin C is honestly phenomenal. It's like a really lovely texture as well. And I would apply a hyaluronic first, then the vitamin C, and then I would put my moisturizer on after. And I use that every single morning until I finish it. I need to get another one. But it will literally just clear up any of those dark marks or scarring, as if you've got a spot and your niacinamide sorts the spot out. Your vitamin C will then just like zap any reminder of that spot as well. So it's really, really good.
And I was actually telling Tijan, so I had a few breakouts last week from, as I was mentioning, consuming too much chocolate and red wine. And I was saying to Tijan that she didn't even sort of suggest it for breakouts, but I actually used vitamin C, which Tijan had also told me to get, but I used the ordinary one, and I put it on my skin after sort of cleansing. And I was using it a little bit more regularly. Normally I don't use it every day, and I was using it every day, morning and night, and it cleared my skin up as well as with the zinc. So from a first-hand point of view, and I don't have sort of sensitive skin or combination skin or anything. Mine's just sort of oily and a little bit dry, and it worked. So thanks so much. That's really interesting, John. Even I'm going to have to go and buy that quarterly toner. And when it comes to supplements, so look, I'm always sort of food first because I'm a nutritionist, but there are certain supplements that you should sort of be playing with or thinking about in particular situations. So I've listed just some of the ones that could help you with some of the things I mentioned today. So again, there will be links and sort of discount codes and all the rest of it in the document, which I'm going to attach at the very end. But as a probiotic to look after your digestive system, which, as I mentioned, is the epicenter of your health for mood, energy, skin health, digestion, etc. I really like, so I take Naked Biotics. So these guys here, they're a British company started by two ladies, and they're great. And it's a shot that you take every morning that's really good for the digestive system, and they make ones for sensitive tummies too. Omega-3, which I mentioned, is so important, and if you can't get it through those smash fish or vegan, vegetarian sort of flax seeds and chia seeds and all the rest of it, my favorite is Bare Biology. So they do really nice fish oil supplement that is sort of all sustainably caught fish and sort of not any fish that is under sort of threat, and they make them in such a way that the way that they're bound, without fillers or any sort of nasties in them too, really natural, you don't get that regurgitation which a lot of people can find when you take fish oil, which you can often sort of find you might get a bit of a fishy aftertaste. So they're a really great one. I haven't even touched on the importance of vitamin D, and to be honest, Tijan and I haven't even had time to talk about the importance of, you know, sun exposure or not. We've spoken about sunscreen a little bit, but if you're wearing sunscreen, particularly 50 SPF or any kind of sunscreen really, you do block the absorption of vitamin D. So sunscreen stops you from absorbing vitamin D. Now we need vitamin D for energy in the body. We need it for our immune system, to create our hormones such as happy hormones and melatonin, sleepy hormone, for bone health. So if you do know you've got sensitive skin and you wear sunscreen all day, every day, and you don't take a supplement, you should either get your levels checked or sort of take a low dose vitamin D supplement, because it is so important. And Public Health England yesterday released a new guideline, because normally they say October to April everyone who lives in the UK should take a vitamin D supplement. They've actually extended that to the end of May because of everything going on with self-isolation, because it's so important. So, you know, even if it's sunny outside and if you do protect your skin, I recommend taking vitamin D. And you can't get vitamin D through the window, by the way. It has to be direct sunlight on bare skin. And then I mentioned the importance of collagen. So London's beauty formula contains a really nice form of collagen. It also contains vitamin C, vitamin A, zinc, selenium, probiotics. So it's kind of like an all-in-one package, but it's quite expensive. It's about £45. So if you just wanted to take collagen, you can either drink lots of bone broth, or I really like Skinful's pure marine collagen. So it doesn't come from bones, it actually comes from fish, which I actually sort of prefer because I don't eat meat. So I've actually taken that personally and found really great results with it for my skin. I took it before I got married. So those are just some of my favorites, but you know, always with supplements, just be mindful if you're on medication or anything like that, just check, make sure there's no interactions, but pretty much all of those are very, very safe anyway, so you should be fine. The only one is the Equi London Beauty formula if you are pregnant or trying to conceive. It does contain vitamin A, so just be mindful of that. So takeaway tips today, really, optimize your diet, and hopefully we've given you some tips to do today. Remember that everyone's individual and unique. So I was talking about the fact that I get breakouts here with hormones, but other people find that certain things in their diets work for them, others don't. So there isn't a one size fits all approach. Otherwise, Tijan and I probably wouldn't have jobs because it would all be so simple. Don't forget to hydrate. It's so overlooked, but one of the most important things when it comes to health in your skin. Aim for no more than 30 grams of added sugar. So we've spoken about sugar today. The NHS suggests no more than 30 grams of added sugar in your diet every day. And added sugar also is found, so fruit juices contribute to that. Any sugar added into any food. The only sugars that don't count are sugars found in dairy products and fruit. So 30 grams, by the way, a standard chocolate bar contains 25 grams. So that's the sort of, and then you've got all the soups and marinades and everything that it's hidden in. Get those omega-3 that I mentioned, those smash fish or supplements, and with the vitamin D I've just touched on. So yeah, hopefully we've given you some really sort of good content to take away. Try and incorporate a few dietary things, but please don't get overwhelmed thinking that you have to raw and change your diet at all. And hopefully Tijan's recommendations for products have also helped too. You can connect with both of us if you don't already follow us on our Instagram handles here. Here is a picture of Tijan and I when I had less wrinkles. But we were quite a bit younger than we are now, but that was at her wedding. And thank you guys so much for spending your Wednesday evening with us. And we will now sort of dedicate the next sort of 5, maybe 10 minutes to answering some of your questions, and thank you so much for joining.
I actually just want to jump in because Gemma has written our drying lotions for acne not recommended, and I actually have a drying lotion with me. I've got 2 spot treatments with me because I knew people would ask about treatments. So obviously there are things that you want to do for your whole skin, like with your serums and whatever, but sometimes you've got a spot and it needs to just go, and you need to do something to make yourself feel like you've done something to get rid of it. So these are the products that I would go to. So one is by Kate Somerville, and it's called Eradicate. And Mario Badescu also has a drying lotion that's really good. And what you do is you put a Q-tip in to the formula. Do you know what? I shouldn't use it for so long when I was pregnant and breastfeeding. But now I'm back using it, and you just put a Q-tip in and you dab it exactly where you need it. I use it maybe like once every other week, and it really does just like dry that spot out quite well. But what I find works better, if you've got an under the skin sore spot, a drying lotion isn't going to work because you kind of need like the spot to almost, like, it sounds gross, but like have a head for the drying lotion to work. So when you have those under the skin lumps, you don't have that. So what do I use? I use this by Votary, and it's the Blemish Rescue Oil, which is tamarind and salicylic acid. And what I do is I just dab a little bit on my finger, and I rub this on any areas that are a little bit inflamed. So sometimes when I've been wearing an eye mask the night before, I might have a little bit of like a breakout around here. Like, I wouldn't even call it a breakout, just a tiny bit of redness, a few under the skin spots. If I put this on, it will just disappear. And I also find this works great on kind of any spot. So I do like just kind of like rub it in quite liberally on the areas where I'm breaking out. So it's really good by Votary, and it's super natural as well. Sorry, that making noise upstairs.
No, that's a really great answer. And just to let everyone know, I have uploaded the PDF with all the links and discount codes and all the rest of it to everything we recommended. Now, I've seen a question from Safa. Thoughts on kefir, which is dairy, but are gut benefits worth to drink it? So interestingly, with kefir, so for those of you who don't know, it's a fermented dairy drink predominantly. You can get it, though, as coconut. You can get it as water, but it's not very nice. That's a personal preference. But coconut kefir is dairy-free, so that could help if you find that dairy triggers your acne. But fermented foods are essentially foods that have been fermented and grow live bacteria within them, and almost act like a delivery of beneficial bacteria to help support your microbiome, which is your gut flora that reside in your digestive system. Now, What's really interesting about kefir is that the bacteria found in the dairy in kefir actually consume a lot of the lactose. So often people find that they can tolerate kefir even if they're lactose intolerant because it's got such low levels of lactose because the bacteria have consumed them. So somebody else is here said, you know, kimchi, kombucha, there's also sauerkraut, live yogurt, tempeh, miso, all of these foods are full of live bacteria. I've actually been with my husband creating kombucha from scratch, which you can always try and do if you've got a little bit more time on your hands, which is a live fermented fizzy drink.
I would say though, for me, I actually can't eat anything fermented at all, even miso really. That definitely is one of my triggers for my stomach. So I think just
people find it.
Yeah.
It's different. So there are conditions where the bacteria can actually overgrow out of the large intestine to the small intestines, otherwise known as SIBO, which triggers a lot of IBS for people. Many people have it sort of underlying.
Yeah.
And one of the first signs that you have that is when you take a probiotic or you eat fermented foods, you find that you get sort of a little bit of a reaction to it. So I always suggest if you do have IBS with fermented foods, low and slow. Don't go crazy and eat a whole pot of sauerkraut because you're going to be stuck on the toilet. Slowly introduce it over time. So where is the PDF uploaded? I've put it here in the chat. Can you let me know if you can see it? Hopefully you can. Tijan, there's a question here. Is there anything to help thin skin on your feet?
I'm sorry, I don't know about that.
I don't actually know, I'm afraid. Who would you who would you ask that kind of question? I don't know. Are there
maybe like
No,
I think you know my dad is very into foot. Sorry.
Don't.
And I think Aveda is actually, sorry, being serious, Aveda has actually got a really good, I know I would say Aveda, but the brand actually say Aveda, a really good foot lotion.
No,
I know it's really, really therapeutic. So I would say actually if you have got painful skin on your feet, yeah, do some research. Sorry, this is kind of more about like facial skin, but I would say invest maybe in a good moisturizer.
What I would also say is that there are some great places. Obviously, we are in isolation right now, but there are some medical pedicures that you can get. So I know that there's one in Liberties. There's a company, MediSpa maybe? I can't remember the name, but my husband's been. And they look at your feet and your skin health, and they give you all these creams, and they really look after your feet if you've got problem sort of skin on your feet. So I would recommend that.
And actually, sorry, I just remembered that I actually have a Korean skincare foot mask to use that I've not used yet.
Oh.
So I would look in, and they're quite affordable Korean skincare products. There's a brand called Tonic 15, and actually also, sorry, whilst on Korean skincare, there's the Tonic 15 also sells a spot patches which work really well on cystic spots. So if I need like a cystic spot to go today, I'll put a patch on it. And they're clear patches, but they're better to use at home, and they've got little like micro needles, so they'll like really inject the spot with products and it will just like disappear. It's amazing. So definitely look into Korean skincare.
So I think Margaret Dabbs is somebody is saying is the pedicure. So I've got one question down here, but I just want to make sure we followed up everything at the top. So almond milk, Gemma, thanks for asking. Yeah, somebody said, you know, it could be because you're unfamiliar. Some people can't tolerate certain nuts. They can often sort of have different kinds of fats that can trigger people. It can be the same for oat milk. Lots of people have a similar reaction with oat milk that I've heard too. So, you know, there are so many different kinds
also with almond and oat, make sure you're buying the unsweetened version, because sometimes you're just buying something unsweetened is like, for me, it's unsweetened. You're putting a bunch of sweetener in there, you're going to break out.
Yeah, lots of those sweetened milks taste like milkshakes to me. Anyway, to me they do. I mean, they taste delicious, but like, you know, if you're having it every day in coffee and tea and all the rest of it. I went vegan 3 years ago and noticed such a difference in everything, more energy too, and your eyes are a lot whiter. That's great. I think that could be from, you know, consumption of plant foods that are full of antioxidants can help bring down that inflammation and that oxidative stress in the body. And you know, you probably optimized your nutrients that I was talking about, like A, E, and vitamin C and all the rest of it. So, Tid, we have another question. Did you, oh God, there's loads more. Is there anything other than vitamin C which is good for acne scarring?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You kind of need some acids in there. So depends how sensitive your skin is. So I actually can't really take glycolic acid, but glycolic acid is fantastic for blitzing scars. So say you just had a few breakouts, you're not necessarily getting them regularly. Your skin is kind of like harder, you can handle it. Try glycolic acid. Drunk Elephant have one called TLC, and that's not in the PDF. So Drunk Elephant TLC serum, and it is one of the best and more gentle ones. Use it in the evening, but make sure you're looking for products with lactic acid, glycolic acid, and salicylic acid, and of course retinol. Now retinol isn't something that I've actually ever used, apart from once, because I have been on a pregnancy breastfeeding journey for 2.5 years, and then after I finished breastfeeding, I actually didn't know if I was fully finished with breastfeeding. So I kind of like had an on and off thing. So actually I feel like I've never really found the time for retinol. But maybe I will. I think once I finish having all babies, then I will look into it. But yeah, make sure you're just getting your acids. Lactic acid is super gentle acid to start with. You could buy it from The Ordinary as well, and it really just will help the skin regenerate itself. So that's what you need. Like, you need your skin to regenerate itself in order for the scarring to go. And someone asked as well if niacinamide should be mixed. I would mix almost any harsher acid, like even lactic, which is super gentle, lactic, salicylic, glycolic, with a hyaluronic acid. Always have your hyaluronic acid. I find hyaluronic acid just makes everything sink in better, and my skin is more receptive to it, especially if you have any dehydration or dryness. And you might not even think you do. You might think you've got oily, spotty skin, but I bet you your skin is dehydrated if you're treating it with products that are made for spotty or acne prone skin. So please, 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 just if there's one takeaway, and I'm sure most of you are already using it, but if you're not, hyaluronic acid.
Tej, and I think this will cover quite a lot of questions. Somebody's saying, could you possibly give a whole routine AM to PM for acne skin? And someone's saying they've seen the products, but they're not sure which to include in morning and night. Could you sort of condense that, do you think?
Okay, so morning you cleanse, basic cleanser. I like Glossier Milky Jelly. I like gel cleansers in general. I find milks and balms clog my skin, and you will get those little clogged small spots. So try and use a gel cleanser if you've got troubled skin. Then afterwards I use a toner. So I just use like a really basic like spritz toner in the morning. Nothing like magic in there, it just revives my skin. Then I'll use just a hyaluronic acid. If I'm on a vitamin C train, I'll mix my vitamin C with my hyaluronic acid. If I'm not, I'll just do the hyaluronic acid. And then I use actually my moisturizer for the morning is this, which has my SPF 50 in it. Then I just put that on and then a bit of concealer, and that is me done for the day. If it is in the evening, I like to do a double or triple cleanse. So I will use the same cleanser, but with a hot cloth flannel, and I'll use that 2 or 3 times. Then you really need to make sure that the grime of the day is off your face. So you want to first remove your makeup, then you want to remove the dirt, then you want to really make sure your skin is like clean. But you don't want to be using a foaming wash. You want to make sure it's like quite low pH levels, so to not aggravate your skin and make your skin feel like it's kind of like been washed with, like, you know, washing up liquid. So again, a gel cleanser is perfect. You can use an oil. I really like Romilly Wild. Romilly Wild has this, what's the name of it now? It's her cleansing oil. It's beautiful and really hydrating and didn't cause any breakouts. So use either your morning cleanser or get a special one for the evening that's maybe better at taking away makeup and dirt. Then I really like using this, which is the toner. Then you use this, and this has got salicylic acid in, so I wouldn't use this in the morning, because if you use that in the morning, it'll make your skin more sensitive to sun. So this should only be used in the evening overnight. Then after that, I mix up my serums. At the moment, I'm actually trying a new serum. I'm not going to talk to you about that yet, because it's only been 3 days and I can't vouch for it. But I would either then mix my niacinamide and zinc, or actually quarterly do a really beautiful serum from the same range, Vino Pure. I'll mix that with my hyaluronic acid again. If I don't mix it with my hyaluronic acid, can't stress this enough, my skin will feel dry and it will just feel like angry. So all these serums I'm recommending really need to be used with some hyaluronic as well. And then after that, I use a moisturizer. So at the moment, I've actually been using this Sam Bunting Flawless Moisturizer that's got niacinamide in, which is amazing. But the Toleriane one for sensitive, Toleriane Fluid Sensitive Prebiotic, it's actually in the PDF. that is phenomenal as well. But I like to mix it in with an oil. Now, again, I don't find oils sit well on my skin if they're not mixed with a moisturizer. These are just things that I've learned that I think everyone knows, but actually they're great hacks. So I find if I just use, like, for example, the ordinary rosehip oil that I swear by, if I use that on its own, my skin would feel dry and like not good after. I'd feel like, but if you mix your oil with your moisturizer, again, it just binds into the skin.
Helps almost absorb, doesn't it?
Oh, it helps everything absorb, and you just go to bed with like this dewy, beautiful skin. So whenever I see a review of an oil online, being like, oh, this is awful, did nothing for me, it sat on my skin, it didn't hydrate, it felt dry, I'm like, you're just not using it properly. So a lot of products, you just need to work out how to use them so you get their full benefits. Yeah, and that's my morning and evening.
Okay, we're going to close it up with just a few more questions. Somebody said, what was the name of the oil cleanser you just suggested?
It's Rumely Wild. The brand is called, I'm going to write it in.
I'll write it, Rumely Wild.
Yeah, I think I'll write it. Rumely Wild, and it's her oil cleanser, and I've forgotten the actual name of it. So it's Rumely Wild.
The hyaluronic acid is the one that you suggested on the previous slide, isn't it?
The Clinique one is good. Which one do I use? I use them all. Vibrant Glow Cleanser. Thanks, Joni. That's exactly what it is. You use it, actually, out of interest. It's amazing. Which hyaluronic, I rotate. So at the moment, I'm using one by Zelens, which I really like. But I would say there are cheaper ones that are just as good. The Clinique Moisture Surge Serum is incredible. And the Vichy Mineral 89 Serum is, I used that for years as a hyaluronic, and I loved it.
And final question. So what gel cleanser do you recommend? Is that the Rumely Wild one?
No, Rumely Wild is oil. So gel, there are two that I would really highly recommend. The Glossier Milky Jelly is great. I love it. And also Dr. Sam Bunting, she's actually a dermatologist who's just brought out her own range of skincare, and each product is actually really well priced and works really beautifully. She's got a cleanser, a gel cleanser. I think it's called the Perfect Cleanser. But if you look on her website, Dr. Sam Bunting Gel Cleanser is great, really great. Morning, evening, super gentle, full of like amazing ingredients that will really look after your skin, but won't strip it, won't aggravate it.
Nice. Well, look, guys, thank you so much. Some sort of fantastic questions. Now, some of you are saying you can't see the PDF, but I will be sending an email around to all the attendees and anyone who missed with all of the stuff that we have recommended and a recap of some of our top tips. And thank you guys once again for joining. And please do keep in touch with us. And we both wish you and your loved ones to stay healthy, safe, happy, and well. And hope to speak to you and connect with you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.